Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Steve. This is The Phantom Show. I hope you're doing well today. I wanted to talk today about two different things, nitpicking and silly arguments. So as far as nitpicking goes, we all know what this is. If you've been part of a major fandom, anything that's been around for a while, you understand. It's just people who look at every little aspect of a book or movie or video game or whatever it might be and just pick it absolutely to death. And a lot of times I personally think it's counterproductive because, the truth of the matter is this is all entertainment. And sometimes things that don't make sense, they're done that way because they look cool on screen, or they translate well to a comic book, or because the actor wanted them a certain way, or because the creator wanted them a certain way, or producer wanted them a certain way. There's all sorts of explanations. But even if something's silly and irrational, it may be that way for a reason, it may not be. And even if something from an older installment doesn't line up with something that's in a newer installment, that's the thing that happens too, because for a long-running franchise, you have multiple writers and producers and directors and creative forces, and everyone's going to want to approach things a little bit differently. So there's just so much going on, so many moving parts, that you're just not going to have a fully cohesive, 100% solid continuity franchise, etc., etc. So my advice is just don't go crazy about it. Sure, if you want to be silly, mention this thing is kind of silly, doesn't make sense, and yeah, great, that's no problem there. But to just kind of lose your cool because this doesn't make sense and contradicts something that was said 3 movies ago and you're all mad about this now, it's just ridiculous. There's no point. Come on. As far as the silly arguments, that's a whole other thing. I find this alternately amusing or depressing depending on how far it gets. But let me give you an example. I was on a Star Wars fan board the other day, and they were talking about the sequel trilogy. Now, of course, among Star Wars fans, the sequel trilogy is quite polarizing. And one of the people on the board basically said that to him, the sequel trilogy, that would be episodes 7, 8, 9, takes place in an alternate timeline. And this was his rationale to justify the fact that the only real Star Wars movies to him are episodes 1 through 6. It's like, well, okay, if you want to be that way, man, then be that way, but that's not true because canonically, all 9 episodes are part of the original Star Wars films. It's all an official timeline. There are no alternate timelines. The creators have said this is the legit timeline, so that's what it is. If you want to talk about what if it was an alternate timeline, then hey, I'll have the discussion with you at any time. But to just say, nah, in my mind it's an alternate timeline and that's what I'm going with, that just seems kind of silly. And then, you jump into something like Star Trek and these endless discussions about, Picard versus Kirk versus Cisco versus Janeway and on and on. It's like, it just gets tiring after a while. Each captain is different, each has their pluses, each has their negatives. We can have healthy discussions about this, but we don't need to be going crazy and yelling at each other, trying to tear each other down when somebody doesn't agree with the way we feel about it. Here's another example. You might have somebody who loves the Black Panther movie, but maybe is not a big fan of the Avengers movie. That's their right. That's okay. You don't need to run them down because they don't like Avengers. They like the Black Panther. You enjoy the Avengers. You like the Marvel Universe in one way. They like the Marvel Universe in the other way. Same thing with Star Wars. Maybe you hate Episode 1, somebody else hates Episode 8, and somebody else hates The Empire Strikes Back. But there are people who love all 3 of those movies, and the guy who loves Empire Strikes Back might hate Episode 1, and the guy who loves The Last Jedi might hate Empire Strikes Back. That's okay. Ultimately, all 3 of these people are at various times getting enjoyment watching Star Wars movies. Yeah, there's going to be some they don't like. For any long-running franchise, there's going to be installments and things that happen that not everybody likes, and that's okay. This idea that every single element of a franchise should be set up to where every single fan absolutely adores it is completely ridiculous. It just can't be done. I don't really want to go into details as to why. I'm sure most of you can figure that out, but it just can't be done. So really, it's about respect. Let's respect each other, and let's respect the creators that are working on all this stuff too, because we're ultimately all trying to get the same thing, and we just want to enjoy this. We want to support the people that are making it, and by all means, we want to keep having those healthy discussions, but let's not be aggressive and running people down. Let's just all accept the fact that not everybody's going to agree on everything, and even if we don't agree on everything, we can still all support the fact that this is a really cool franchise and there are things that we like about it. I think if we just get a little bit more of that, it'll be that much better all the way around. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back with more stuff real soon.